Okay, Mayor Serta, we are up and running, so you may start the meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's Gardena City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Serta.
Here.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Here.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Present.
Councilmember Francis.
Here.
And I would like to report that Mayor Pro Tem Henderson is not present and is on an excused absence.
Okay, great, thank you. Before we go any further, let me just read this quick disclaimer here. In order to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus, Governor Newsom has issued executive orders that temporarily suspends requirements of the Brown Act. Please be advised that the council chambers are closed to the public and that some or all of the Gardena City Council members may be attending this meeting telephonically. If you would like to participate in this meeting, you can participate via the following options. You can view the meeting live on Spectrum Channel 22 or online at youtube.com/City of Gardena. The second way to participate prior to the meeting is that you can email the Deputy City Clerk at bromero@cityofgardena.org by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting and write public comments in the subject line. Comments will be read into the record up to the time limit of 3 minutes. The third way to participate is via Zoom webinar. You can join the meeting via the internet or via phone conference. The direct URL is https://us0.web.zoom.us/867-052-18470. The telephone number is area code 669-900-9128, and the meeting ID number is 867-0521-8470. If you wish to speak live on a specific agenda item during the meeting, you may use the raise your hand feature during that item you wish to speak on. For non-agenda items, sorry, I lost the space here. You will be allowed to speak during oral communications, and during the public hearing, you will be allowed to speak when the mayor opens the public hearing. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council will be given 3 minutes to speak. The City of Gardena thanks you in advance for helping us take all the necessary precautions in preventing the spread of the COVID-19 virus. So at this time, let me just report that we did not have a closed session. So we're going to begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. And tonight, I believe we have the principal of Perch Elementary School who will be either leading or introducing her students tonight.
Hello, Mayor Serta. Thank you. At this time, I have my assistant, Susan Kim, and we will be presenting a Pledge of Allegiance video from one of our Perchie Magnet students in the 1st grade named Toriana, and she's in Miss Thomas's class.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Barnett, hold on for just a couple of minutes. Don't sign off yet. If we could have our invocation. Councilmember Tanaka, would you lead us in that, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's pray. Father, again, we come to you for another council meeting of our great city. We pray that our leadership and the decisions that we make are wise ones and decisions that will continue to keep our city moving forward. Father, we pray for our country. We pray for all the things that are happening in our world. We pray for those that are affected by COVID, and please be with them. Put your hand on them. Let them know that your healing power is with them. We pray for our vets, Father, as tomorrow is Veterans Day. Please have our vets rest assured that our country cherishes them, we appreciate them, and we honor them tomorrow. And lastly, Father, we just pray for our colleague, Mark Henderson, as he is away from us tonight. And we just pray that things are all well with him and that he will join us again at our next meeting. So, Father, with that, we thank you for your son and we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you. First off, Ms. Barnett from Perch Elementary School, thank you again for having your student available via video here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I don't know if Toriana is watching, but she did an amazing job. And thank you for just, like I said, putting that video together. That made it so much easier for us tonight versus trying to hook up to Zoom. I wish we could all make a video, but thank you again. We really appreciate that. And Councilmember Tanaka, thank you once again for leading us in tonight's invocation. Okay, so we're going to move on next to item number 4C, which is appointment of new alternates for the following outside and city committees. Because we are minus one council member tonight, I'm going to ask if the council does not mind if we can table this until the next meeting, just so that Councilmember Henderson can participate with us as we kind of shift things around, if that's okay with everyone. Yes, we're good? Okay. So Madam City Clerk, we're just going to table that to the next meeting. I mean, if that can be on the agenda for the next time. Okay, so next up is item 4C2. Does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any commissions, committees, councils, or boards at this time? No? If not, we're going to move on to our consent calendar. I'm sure everybody's had time to look over it and review it. Does any member, I'm sorry, Madam City Clerk, does there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on any of our consent items? Madam City Clerk, you're still.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a hand up from a Zahid Ahmed.
Okay.
I'm not sure what he wants to speak about, but his hand is up. So, Becky, can we find out, please?
We will put the timer up
Thank you.
and we will ask him to allow him to come into the meeting.
Mr. Zahid?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, City Council and City Mayor.
Good afternoon. Sir, can I stop you for 1 second? Did you want to speak on the consent item, or was there a specific item you wanted to speak on?
It's specifically departmental items. Essentially, it would be departmental items D for Public Works and departmental items E for Police. So essentially those two items. But I can wait. I can come back.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we'll have you come on during that time. Okay. Madam City Clerk, can you, or Deputy Clerk, can you make a note of that? I'll probably forget which items he mentioned. I believe it was D and E. To bring him back on as our speaker at that time. And Mr. Zahid, if you can just hold on for a few minutes.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so are there any other speakers, Madam City Clerk, for consent items?
No, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Does any member of the council wish to discuss any items separately under consent? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Kaskanian and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. We don't have an item 6, nothing to exclude from the consent calendar. Under item 7, Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet, the November 3rd, 2020 meeting was canceled. So we're going to move on to oral communications. Madam City Clerk, do we have any speakers tonight under oral communications? I think you muted yourself. Okay.
I'm sorry, let me check.
Okay.
I believe we might.
We do.
Yeah, we do. Let me see. Golly, attendees. Becky, I'm having a little trouble here. Can you tell me? Can
We
you
have
see?
Holly Mitchell, who would like to speak during oral communications.
Thank you.
Okay, just one speaker?
Yes, just one speaker.
Okay, so now that we're at oral communications, just want to remind our speaker that unfortunately we are limited to 3 minutes. So if you need to extend your time, just let me know. We'll try to make sure we accommodate you to go a little bit longer. So I believe this is our state senator, Holly Mitchell, and our new county supervisor-elect. So go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I will stay well within my 3 minutes.
Okay.
I just wanted to reach out to you and the members of Gardena City Council to bring you greetings. Even before I take the oath of office, I wanted to just try to get very quickly on the agenda of the 9 cities that comprise the 2nd Supervisorial District, just to say I am looking forward to working collaboratively with you, Madam Mayor, and all of your city council members. We have a lot of work to do. Our shared constituency are looking to us as their elected leaders to help identify ways in which we can support them at the county and city level and guide all of us through this public health and economic pandemic. Madam Mayor, I hope to, within my first 100 days, convene a meeting of all the mayors of the 9 cities, and we won't violate Brown Act, but perhaps you can bring one city council member with you, because I want to be able to hear from you firsthand what your expectations are and your needs from the county during this critical time that we're all experiencing.
Okay.
So thank you. Again, just wanted to reach out and bring greetings and want you to know that I am here to be your partner and work with you and for you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much again. Everyone be safe.
Thank you. Okay. Madam City Clerk, did anybody else raise their hand since the last time I asked?
Okay, let's see here.
For oral?
Yeah. No, that is that.
Okay. With that being said, let's move on to item number 8B1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, Agenda Item 8B1 is a public hearing for Environmental Assessment Number 5-20, General Plan Amendment 2-20, Zone Code Change 2-20 for Evergreen Residential Project. Location is 13615, 13619, and 13633 Vermont Avenue. The applicant is Malia Homes Incorporated. Item A is resolution number 6479, adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigated monitoring program for General Plan Amendment 2-20 and Zone Code Change 2-20 for a property located at 13615, 13619, and 13633 Vermont Avenue. Item B is resolution number 6480, approving General Plan Amendment 2-20, changing the land use designation of a property located 13615, 13619, and 13633 Vermont Avenue from general commercial to high density residential. And item C is ordinance number 1822, approving zone code change 2-20, changing the zoning of the property located 13615, 13619, and 13633 Vermont Avenue from general commercial C3 to high density residential R4. On March 9, 2020, Malia Homes Incorporated filed an application to develop 84 residential units in 16 buildings at 13615, 13619, and 13633 Vermont Avenue, comprising 4.23 gross acres. An initial study and mitigated negative declaration, or ISMND, was circulated for a 20-day period, and a mitigation monitoring reporting program was also prepared. On October 20th, 2020, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and adopted resolution number PC 10-20, recommending that the City Council adopt the MND and MMRP and approve the General Plan Amendment and Zone Change. The Planning Commission also adopted the MND and MMRP and approved the tentative tract map and site plan relating to the development. These Planning Commission approvals are only effective if City Council approves the General Plan Amendment and zone change, but these planning commission approvals are not before the city council. As an additional note, the city is concurrently processing a request from Gardena LF LLC or Flint to rezone the parking lot to the east of Lucky Lady Casino from residential to commercial. In order to do this, there must be a concurrent change in land use, so there is no net loss of residential capacity. The change in the general plan zoning for the Malia project will more than compensate for the potential units that could be built on the 2 acres of the Flint property that is proposed to be redeveloped. There is no financial impact. What's required tonight is conduct a public hearing, receive testimony from the public, approve resolution number 6479 and 6480, and introduce ordinance number 1822. We have a short presentation today by John Signo and Acting Director Berrigan and Assistant City Lisa Kravitz are here present today to answer any questions.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is John Signo, Senior Planner for the presentation. And let me see if I can get my slide here going. So the request before you tonight is a general plan amendment and a zone change. And the general plan amendment is to change the land use designation from general commercial to high density residential. The zone change for the property is to change the zoning from C3, general commercial, to R4, high density multiple family residential. And to let you know, just to let you know, the Planning and Environmental Quality Commission approved the site plan review and the tentative tract map on October 20th. The site plan review allows for the development of the townhomes, and the tentative tract map allows for subdividing the property into 84 condominium units. This before you tonight is not before you. It's already been approved by the Planning Commission. So what is before you tonight are the general plan amendments and the zone change. The property in question is located in this area here, where currently there's a Moneta motel and a nursery in this location. To the north, you have apartments and mobile home parks. And across Vermont Avenue, you have the city of Los Angeles, which is primarily residential in that area. To the south, you have mobile home parks. And further south, you have the Carnelian development and the KB Homes development, and also the Lucky Lady Casino at the corner of Rosecrans and Vermont. And to the west, you have single family residential. And there's some industrial uses to the northwest. But the property in question tonight is the 4.23 acres you see in the red there. You'll be looking to change that from commercial to residential. The site plan has already been approved by the Planning Commission. The project is for 84 residential units. It also includes 2 affordable units located in this corner here. And so just to let you know, the site plan and the tentative tract map, again, is not before you tonight. It's already been approved by the Planning Commission. However, their approval is contingent upon you approving the general plan amendment and the zone change. These are some perspectives of what the buildings will look like. They will be 3 stories, 40 feet height total. There's an entrance off of Vermont Avenue in this location, and the project is a gated community. So this is what you'll be approving. It's the general plan amendment. Currently, right now, it looks like this here. It's in red, which means it's general commercial. You'll be changing this to make it high residential, shown in the brown area in here. So it's going from commercial to residential. Similarly, the zoning map will be changed from commercial to R4, which will allow for high density residential. We find that the project is consistent with the general plan. There's a number of land use policies and goals that it's consistent with. It provides housing, an attractive neighborhood. There are adequate residential amenities, and encourages a variety of architectural styles. It creates a more attractive and livable space for residents. And through your approval, there'll be some lot consolidations for multifamily development projects. It's also consistent with the housing element, goals and policies. It provides for a number of residential units, including 2 affordable units. And it also adds to the regional housing needs, the regional housing needs assessment for the city. So it provides additional residential uses. I should mention that the city is currently processing a request from Gardena LF LLC. It's Larry Flint. The property is located at 1108 West 141st Street. It's a 4.59 acre property that currently has a parking lot east of the Lucky Lady Casino, and that parking lot is used for the casino. We're looking to change the zone from residential to commercial. And in order for us to do this, there must be a concurrent change in land use so that there is no net loss of residential capacity. Basically, what I'm saying is in order to change the Flint property from residential to commercial, there has to be a no net loss in residential uses. And so it's kind of like a swap. We're going to be changing that from residential to commercial. And for this property, for Millia Homes, they'll be changing it from commercial to residential. So you'll have a no net loss. The change in the general plan and zoning for the Millia project will more than compensate for the potential loss of potential units that could be built on the 2 acres of the Flint property that is proposed to be redeveloped. So out of that 4.59 acres, only 2 of that is actually looking to be developed. The rest of it will remain as parking lot for the Lucky Lady Casino. We prepared an MND, a mitigated negative declaration. Our consultant, Innovo Planning Group, prepared that for us, and along with the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. As our city manager mentioned, the initial study, MND, was circulated between September 17th and October 6th. And it was determined that there were potentially significant impacts in regards to cultural resources, geology and soils, and tribal cultural resources. We prepared mitigation measures to reduce those impacts down to a level of significance or below a level of significance. Those mitigation measures are included in the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and those will bring all impacts, again, below a level of significance. We received 2 letters from the Sanitation District and the County of Los Angeles. However, those letters, the fire department, those letters did not speak of the adequacy of the initial study, MND. They just sort of pointed out that they are able to provide service for the project. We also did consulting under SB 18 and AB 52 with 2 Native American groups, the Gabrielino Tongva tribes and the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians, Keach Nation. And as a result of that consultation, we developed mitigation measures for the proposed project. The project is properly noticed in the Gardena Valley News, and it was also mailed to owners and occupants within 300-foot radius of the project site on November 5th, and we received no letters. And our recommendation for you tonight is to, again, open the public hearing, receive testimony from the public, and adopt resolutions, the 2 resolutions and 1 ordinance. The first resolution is to adopt the environmental, the mitigated negative declaration, and the mitigation monitoring program for this general plan amendment and zone change. The second resolution is to approve the general plan amendment. And the third one would be to approve the ordinance so that the zone change can be changed from general commercial to high density residential. Again, this is what's before you now. The tentative map and the site plan review have already been approved by the Planning Commission. So what's before you now is consideration of the environmental and approval of the general plan amendment and the zone change. And with that, that concludes my presentation. We do have a number of folks with us. Our environmental consultant is here as well if you have any questions about the environmental. And staff is available for any other further questions.
Okay, thank you. At this time, let's go ahead and open the public hearing. And I think first off, I'd like to maybe just hear from the applicant first.
Hi, Mayor Serta, members of the council. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, terrific. Great. My name is Brent Little and I'm with Millia Homes, and I'm also joined tonight online by Chad Brown, also of Millia, and Gary Ishii, who's the owner of the property. We have a PowerPoint presentation for you, but I think given what John's provided, maybe it's best if I just answer any questions that you have on the project. I also want to thank staff for the hard work. It was really a collaborative effort, and like every time I've worked in Gardena, it's always a pleasure. So I really appreciate everything they've done on it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this? Or Deputy Clerk, either?
I do not see any hands up.
Okay. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments?
Mayor, I do.
Go ahead, Councilmember Tanaka.
Okay, when you're talking about the ground contamination in that area, because it was a nursery and there were probably stuff that affected the ground there, are you saying that the levels of the contamination are now below what is required?
So we actually prepared a phase 1 environmental site assessment for the property, and we did not have any pesticides or frankly anything that came up at a detectable, actionable level. So it could be the result that it was a container nursery as opposed to in the ground. But although I've experienced it in the past, we're fortunate that this property didn't have any pesticide or any contamination at all.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilman Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Brent Little, how about phase 2? Was not required to do phase 2 in this case?
Yeah, because nothing was detected, there was not a phase 2 requirement. Typically, you'll graduate from a phase 1 to a phase 2 if you find some evidence, even if it's a low level or a hot spot of some sort, then you will be required to do a phase 2 and actually extract and test a broader section. But in this case, because of the quality of the soil condition, there wasn't a phase 2 requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Can you explain to me the tie-in to the Flint property? Because what you said and what I read, I'm trying to figure out how to reconcile that. Can you go with that again for me, please?
Yeah, I can discuss that. This is John Signo again.
Yeah.
That's actually a separate project. What I wanted to point out is that we are doing a swap. So we are changing that property from residential to commercial. And in order to do that, we need to change a commercial that's, or a property that's commercial to residential. So there's no net loss in residential property.
And so you just time them both together rather than doing them one at a time. You're kind of connecting them both together. So if we approve one, then we approve the other. Is that it?
Well, not necessarily. The Flint property is not before you tonight. That's going to be coming up in a later meeting. Currently, it's scheduled for the Planning Commission next Tuesday night, November 17th.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out what I have to do with the other.
Councilmember Francis, I think I can add something to this. This is Lisa Kranitz. Last year in 2019, the legislature adopted a slew of housing statutes. One of them was a no net loss provision. So if you were going to take any property out of residential general plan zoning or change it in any way that would allow less homes to be built on that site, you concurrently had to rezone, upzone other property so that an equivalent number of additional homes could be put on. The Flint application came in about the same time with the Malia and also Olson, which is your next public hearing. And Flint will be taking property out of medium and high density residential if the council approves it. And it will go to commercial with a mixed use overlay, which would still allow residential, but it would also allow other uses. And that's essentially being processed concurrently. We're taking concurrently in the time of pandemic within the same month, 2-month period, because there's only so much we can do at once. It's happening at the same time. The actions for Malia and Olson are independent. You don't have to approve these. If you don't approve them, you will not be able to approve the Flint project. But just because you approve these, you still get a separate hearing on Flint, and you don't have to approve the Flint rezone. But without doing this tonight, it takes Flint off the table for consideration.
Now, I guess the Flint property, is that moving residential? Or is it
Flint?
It's already commercial.
No, actually, it's surprisingly not already commercial property. The property that is to the that would be the west of the casino, that's currently the parking lot property. Mm-hmm. I believe there was an assumption that it was already commercial because, and again, we're kind of moving into a separate matter, but it has an economic incentive agreement on it, but that portion of the property is in fact zoned high density residential with a tiny portion of it is medium density residential. So again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Where the parking lot is.
Yes, that's correct. That's actually got a residential zone on it right now.
Residential, even though there's a parking lot on it right now.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so that's the tie-in with this particular property, because if we, okay.
Did you have any additional questions with that, or?
No, just, I'm just trying to figure out, it's lawful. If there's a parking lot there already, then and you just want to add more parking lot there, what does it have to do with the residential? I guess I'm trying to get wrap my arms around that, because if we're going to approve if we want to approve the residential, then just go ahead and approve the residential and deal with Flint. But when you tie them together, it's like, see, I don't understand why you tied it together, why it had to be tied together, why they couldn't have just gone separately to begin with. That's what I don't get. And I think that's my question.
They need to be tied together because the state law was enacted to say that there has to be concurrent changes. So as Malia and the Olson development are going through and they are adding additional housing to the city by changing and intensifying the allowed residential uses on the zone, we're getting 84 units from Malia. And I think there's an additional 36 that will be on the next hearing from the change in the Olson property. That has to happen for Flint to rezone. This all has to be happening around the same time concurrently.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference. As far as I can see, I think perhaps you're talking, I don't know what the interpretation is, but it just doesn't sound that was the state's intent. However, this is what we have before us, and then this is what you did. So, okay.
Are there any more questions? So I have two questions here. The first one, when we were getting the initial presentation, it was mentioned the highest building will be, the max is 40 feet. Was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The second question I have is, I know we're doing zone changes and so on, but will this come back before us at all as far as any say with any of the properties as far as I mean, I saw the maps in here of what the layout is, but as far as maybe how the front entrance aesthetically, how that will look, or is this it at this point?
No, the design has already been approved by the Planning Commission.
Okay.
What's before you tonight is this general plan amendment and the zone change.
Okay.
The general plan amendment, if you approve it tonight, that would be done.
It'll be
done. The zone
done.
change needs to come back. That's through an ordinance, and that will come back probably at your next meeting for second reading.
Okay, so here's my last question here. I've gone through a couple of hundred pages here and I've seen the layout that's here, but I never saw a picture of the front entrance as far as the way the vehicles, you know, well, I'm sorry. I see from the site plan looking down, I can see it, but the one picture that was missing was the entrance, how that looks aesthetically as far as, and I don't know, I've gone through a couple of hundred pages here. Is there an additional picture or something that you have in the presentation? I'm just curious how that will look.
Right.
John, you don't have it. I do have one.
Yeah, the closest I have is right here. But
Okay, so that's inside of the property and it looks gorgeous. I like that. But as far as just the entrance, because we have another property down the street, which will be the KB Homes and Carnelian. And I mean, they have a great, you know, look as you enter in there coming off of Vermont. So I'm just curious what the entrance is going to look like. Is there any diagrams, anything that may not be in this presentation that you might have on your computer?
Yeah, so that actually is the from Vermont looking into the project. If you want to give me the screen, I have a bigger version of it if you'd like to see that.
Sure, if you want to share your screen, you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's that bottom right picture there.
Madam Mayor, I agree with your question there. I was wondering about that as well.
Okay, Brent, I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So I'll cycle through my presentation here.
Can you know what? Can you go back a couple of those? I'd just like to see just a little bit more of that as far as the shrubbery and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is just a part of our design, an example of what we've done with the trees to provide some screening aspect to it. We've picked several species of trees. In this case, it's Malayucas, Brisbane box, which is the one in this corner here, and then Italian cypress. And so those are our primary screening trees that we have around the perimeter of the property.
Okay.
And then
can you go back a couple more? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Sure. Yeah. I'll not go so fast. So here's actually one we have for the entry. And as you can see, what we've done is we have a decorative paving, as well as, and I think the best picture that shows it is this is what it's going to look like from Vermont. So the entry's here, and we have a robust amount of landscape along there. In fact, we're replacing the street trees out on Vermont with a larger tree that's been spec'd out by the city. So hopefully this gives you a better image of, or a better idea of what our entrance is. But again, that's a little grainy, but that's the entrance there from Vermont.
Okay. And one other question, lighting on the front of this here. And I'm surprised the staff didn't mention this because these are two really important things to me when projects like this come before us. This is probably one of the first couple of pictures that I'd like to see as far as what the entrance is going to look like, the lighting around there, the trees, because this project is going to be here for many, many years. And this is right on the entrance of our city right here in Vermont. So, you know, I'm just curious, you know, what we're doing as far as lighting on that area right there along Vermont.
Yeah, so we actually submitted a lighting plan and have common area lighting throughout the project, and obviously the city wants to see a significant security lighting, and we have that. So we have both broad spectrum lighting for security purposes, but then we also have pathway lighting and common area lighting throughout the project. And we will be submitting a photometric plan that is a condition that's been made of the project. So we'll be submitting it to the city sometime before the development.
I'm sorry, can you explain what a photometric plan is? I apologize, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So a photometric plan is a plan that takes the project and shows where all the lighting occurs, and it digitally will overlay how many candle power each light is broadcasting, so that what you can do when you look at the plan is you get an idea of where the light spots are, where the dark spots are, and obviously you want that to align. So you want the common areas to be well lit, but you don't want light, say, reflecting into somebody's window.
Right. Okay, great. Well, that's actually exactly what I wanted to hear on that there. Well, thank you for being able to share this additional part here. Are there, Councilmember Kaskanian?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was going to ask a question earlier, but you didn't hear me probably. Thank you for allowing me to talk about this. My question to probably to Lisa Kranitz, if Lisa can hear me.
Of course I can.
Okay, Lisa. Couple questions. Right now, the zoning on the property, it's commercial right now, right?
That's correct.
And how come the Planning Commission, they approve this and it's commercial property?
Councilmember Kaskanian, the approvals of the Planning Commission were for what are called the administrative actions, which are the site plan and the track map, and they're specifically conditioned on the council approving the legislative actions. So if the council does not approve the general plan amendment and the zone change, then what the commission did doesn't take effect and it would remain commercial.
Okay. My next question is, how much of a percentage-wise, if you can give me, we lost commercial properties against residential? I know last year, they came up with this even exchange, but prior to this, do we know in general how much of a commercial property we lost for residential?
No, I do not.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Mayor Serta,
Yes.
if I could add to Councilman Kaskanian's question, I hope you can still see the slide I have up, and I appreciate his concern about the loss of commercial space. What I think this slide shows, though, is although the zoning and general plan represented as being commercial in that area of the city, the reality is that and we are surrounded by residential properties on every side. So I hope that helps illustrate why we're putting residential in there.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Just to the west of that, there are more industrial uses. So it really is a mixed hodgepodge of different uses right in there. But that particular corner, right in that area, that's commercial. But just around there, there's something. There's an art school there on the corner, and then there's some type of water tank, some kind of tank thing going on there. So it's mixed use, even though we're talking about this particular. And I think that's my concern too, is that we're having this spot zoning approach, and we're taking this little spot here and making it this, and then we're going to take another little spot. So I have a concern about spot zoning, because it seems like, to me, it appears to be what we're doing.
Lisa, can you maybe answer Councilwoman Francis' question, because I know some of this came up last year as far as what we were looking at overall, as far as where we were going as far as with our general plan and zoning and so on. Maybe could you answer that a little bit?
Certainly. Well, as Brent pointed out, first off, this property is surrounded by residential uses. To the west of it, there's the trailer park immediately south than the specific plan area. So it in no way constitutes spot zoning, because it is not a tiny little island surrounded by other uses. It is in fact conforming with most of what that area is along Vermont. Vermont is primarily residential, I'd say from Marine Avenue north, when you put in the trailer parks, even though the trailer parks have a commercial zone on them. Spot zoning usually doesn't apply to something that's several acres in size. I think we have 4 acres here. Our zoning contemplates allowing specific plans on various properties throughout the city. And even if something is spot zoning, it doesn't mean it's impermissible zoning if there's, even if it were spot zoning, if there was a public need for the zoning. Certainly with the housing crisis in California, the RENA numbers, we've been assigned 5,721 units for our next RENA housing cycle. We have a need for housing in Gardena, so that pretty much takes care of that issue. We would not be subject to, well, anybody can sue over anything, but nobody would be successful, in my opinion, on challenging this is spot zoning.
No, I'm not by spot zoning, and I hear where you went with that, and I'm not going to go back and forth with you on it, so we can kind of lay the rest. But it's just by spot zoning. What I mean is by project, and that's what I'm talking about. And while if you go just straight up and down Vermont, yeah, you are correct in that it is all residential. But if you just go just a little bit west of that, it's not. See, I live there, so I'm speaking of what I know. So while what you're saying is accurate, but if you just go west of there, all little warehouses and all kind of little uses going on there. And east of that on the other side, that's 535th. Yes, it is residential. Yes, it is. There's elementary school, 135th Street is right there across the street, about half a block away. You're absolutely correct. But as you go down 135th, it changes. And there are warehouses there. So I'm just saying, and I'm going to let it rest. If you want to add something to that conversation, feel free. But I just wanted to share my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Okay, well, if not, before I close the hearing, I know we're all going to probably miss that little nursery right there, Monetta Nursery, because I'm sure all of us have been there at one time or another. But I think this new project going in there is going to look really great. Just, looking at the design of some of those buildings and so on. And again, Mr. Little, thank you again for,
thank you
giving
very
us the
much.
opportunity to see that front part and explaining, I think what you called it, the photometrics and so on. I think that's definitely going to add to that project there a lot. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead, if there are no more questions or comments, close the hearing. And I'm sorry, Madam City Clerk, since we were talking, were there any more speakers on the side?
No, Madam Mayor, there are no hands up.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the hearing at this time. And we're going to go to the first item here, which is resolution number 6479. Can I get a motion to approve this as is?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, I'm sorry. Let me take this back for a second. I'd like to take up actually item number 6479 and 6480 on both items there. Can I get a motion for both those items, 6479 and 6480?
Moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
No.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next, I need to get an introduction of ordinance number 1822. Is there anybody who'd like to introduce it? I'll do it. Madam City Clerk, I'll introduce, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand go up. I'll let you introduce the next one. I'll introduce ordinance number 1822. Okay. Is that noted?
Okay.
Okay, great.
So noted.
Okay, thank you. That being said, let's move on to item number 8B2, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8B2, it's a public hearing for environmental assessment number 15-19, general plan amendment 1-19, zone code change 1-19, 141st Street and Normandy townhomes. Project location is 1335, 1337, 1341, and 1343 West 141st Street. And the applicant is the Olson Company. Item A is resolution number 6481, adopting a mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program for general plan amendment 1-19 and zone change 1-19, changing the land use designation and zoning of property located at 1335, 1337, 1341, and 1343 West 141st Street to high density residential. Item B is resolution number 6482, approving general plan amendment number 1-19, changing the land use designation of property located at 1335, 1337, 1341, and 1343 West 141st Street from low and medium density residential to high density residential. And item C, ordinance number 1823, approving zone change number 1-19, changing the zoning of property located at 1335, 1337, 1341, and 1343 West 141st Street from low and medium density residential R1, R3 to high density residential R4. On November 19, 2019, the Olson Company filed an application to develop a 50-unit residential project consisting of attached townhomes and 6 buildings and 5 parcels located at the property comprising of 2.02 gross acres. An initial study and mitigated negative declaration, or ISMND, was prepared by the city's consultant and circulated for a 20-day review period. A mitigation monitoring and reporting program, or MMRP, was also prepared. On October 20, 2020, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and adopted resolution number PC 9-20, recommending that the City Council approve the general plan amendment and zone change, approve the MND, and adopt the MMRP for these actions. Planning Commission also adopted the MND and MMRP and approved entitlements for a vesting tentative tract map, site plan, and variance relating to the subject project on the property. These Planning Commission approvals are only effective if the City Council approves GPA number 1-19 and ZC number 1-19, but these Planning Commission approvals are not before the City Council. As an additional note, the city is concurrently processing a request from Gardena LLC or Flint to rezone the parking lot to the east of Lucky Lady Casino from residential to commercial. In order to do this, there must be a concurrent change in land use, but there is no net loss of residential capacity. The change in the general plan zoning for the Malia project will more than compensate for the potential units that could be built on 2 acres on the Flint property that is proposed to be redeveloped. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned it's the Olson project. This project would compensate for the potential units that could be developed if all of the Flint property was developed for residential use. There is no financial impact. What's required tonight is conduct the public hearing, receive testimony from the public, approve resolution number 6481 and 6482, and introduce ordinance number 1823. We have a presentation tonight by Amanda Kuhn.
Okay.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I will be presenting this agenda item to you before tonight. And in regards to a general plan amendment, a zone change, and as well as adoption of a mitigated negative declaration and monitoring and reporting program in regards to development of a 50-unit townhome project. The applicant is the Olson Company, and there is a representative present at tonight's meeting. So before you tonight are entitlement requests, General Plan Amendment number 1-19, a request to change the land use designation of the subject property from low and medium density residential to high density residential, as well as a zone change request to change the zoning from R1 and R3, which is a single family and medium multifamily residential zone, to the high R4 density multifamily residential zoning district. In addition to that, a request to adopt the mitigated negative declaration, the MND, and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, the MMRP, in relation to these two entitlements. And at the October 20th meeting of this year, the Planning Commission held a public hearing at which time the following actions were adopted. They approved site plan review number 5-19, allowing the development for the 50-unit townhome project. They approved the vesting tentative tract map number 3-19, subdividing the property for 50 condominium units. They also approved variance number 2-19 to construct a front yard fence 14 inches from the public sidewalk, as well as they adopted the MND and the MMRP for the purposes of these three entitlements that were approved by the Planning Commission. It's the same as the last project. The Planning Commission approvals are not before the City Council tonight. However, again, as the previous project, it is contingent on the approvals from the City Council for the general plan amendment and the zone change. So the subject property is located on the northeast corner of Normandy Avenue and West 141st Street. It currently operates as the Lloyd Nursery, so another nursery within the city. Proposal for a residential development. Again, as you can see here from the vicinity map, surrounding uses to the north, east, and south of the property include residential development, a mix of multifamily and single family homes, as well as industrial use located to the west across Normandy Avenue. So before you, here is the site plan to provide some context of the overall project. Again, this is the site plan that was approved by the Planning Commission already, but to provide, again, some context to the what the general plan amendment and the zone change that are before you tonight will allow for is this 50-unit development project that will provide primary access off of 141st Street with a private gated entrance, as well as a centralized communal open space, as you can see, located with various amounts of landscaping. So again, just to give you some idea of what was before the Planning Commission, what they approved, here are some renderings provided by the applicant, again, the Olson Company, who I believe has had residential development projects here in the city developed already. But here is an example of the proposed elevations, and this would be the project front that fronts West 141st Street. So this would be what it would look like. Again, another rendering showing the amenities of the residential development. Again, the Planning Commission approved the site plan, the vesting tentative tract map, as well as the variance. But at that Planning Commission meeting, they also recommended that the City Council approve the general plan amendment and zone change and adopt the MND and MMRP for those entitlements. So that, again, that is what is before you tonight. In general plan amendment number 1-19, as shown to you here, is a request, again, from low and medium residential land use designation as shown on the, I believe, left side of the orange and the yellow, to a request to R4, or sorry, high density residential. And so in accordance with those land use designations of high density, in accordance with the general plan, it is implemented by the R4 zoning district. So therefore, the applicant is also proposing or requesting approval of a zone change number 1-19 to change the zoning to R4. However, while the property is already designated for residential uses, the maximum density allowed in those lower zoning districts prevent the land to be developed to its highest potential. Therefore, the applicants are requesting these legislative actions. As part of staff's analysis, it was determined that the proposed project is consistent with with the following listed here, goals and policies of the city's general plan, as the proposed project does consolidate 5 underutilized parcels to create a new 50-unit, 3-story attractive townhome development that would be adding to the city's overall housing stock, as well as the project does provide an abundant amount of landscaping and open space with various amenities for new residents to the city of Gardena. As part of the project, an initial study, an MND and an MMRP were prepared by the De Novo Planning Group. And through the analysis, it was determined that there were some potential and significant impacts in regard to the following: the biological, cultural resources, geology and soils, as well as hazardous materials and tribal cultural resources. And therefore, mitigation measures were prepared to address these potential impacts by the environmental consultant, and through these mitigation measures, those impacts were determined to be at a level of less than significant. And as part of the public review of the initial study and the MND, one comment letter was received by the Los Angeles County's Sanitation District. However, it addressed only wastewater generation capacity and I believe, payment of collection fees, and did not speak to the adequacy of the initial study and the MND. As well, the city did receive a request for consultation under SB 18 and AB 52. And then as a result, the city imposed 2 mitigation measures regarding 1, retaining a Native American monitor consultant, and 2, in regards to the process of an unanticipated discovery of tribal, cultural, and archaeological resources. For this public hearing tonight, it was duly noticed in the Gardena Valley News on October 29th of this year for tonight's meeting. To date, there have been no comments received. And at this time, staff recommends that the City Council open the public hearing, receive testimony from the public, adopt resolution number 6481 and 6482, as well as introduce ordinance number 1823. That concludes staff's presentation. Staff, as well as the environmental consultant on the project, are available for any questions. And if requested, the applicant is also available to answer any questions or provide further information.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody requesting to speak on this item?
No, Madam Mayor, we do not have any member of the public with their hand up.
Okay. If the applicant is available, is there anything additional he'd like to, or they'd like to add at this time?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. My name is Doris Wynn, and I'm with the Olson Company, and we'd like to share our presentation if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Great, wonderful. Let me just flip over. Great. Okay, ready to begin? Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor Serta and members of the City Council. My name is Doris Nguyen. I'm the Vice President of Development at the Olson Company. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our project tonight. I also wanted to take the opportunity to thank staff for their efforts. They've been extremely professional and great to work with, so I do commend them, and I wanted to let you know that. We are very excited to be here in the city of Gardena once again. This will be our second community in Gardena. Our first one is Gateway Walk, located on Van Ness by the Armory, if you're familiar with that one.
Mm-hmm.
At Olson, we've specialized in infill housing for over 30 years, and we have a customer service focus. And that is shown by our first place ranking by Alliant, which is a nationwide survey company for home builders. It's similar to JD Powers, but Alliant is really focused on home building. And we are considered #1 in the nation for customer service, as well as for overall homebuyer purchase and ownership experience. That is really the Super Bowl of awards because everyone wants to win that award, and we've won it now 4 times. We'd like to think that's in due in part because of our champion program, where we stay involved for a very long time, so 10 or 11 years with our community. And this is where an Olson associate attends the HOA board meetings once a quarter to kind of guide them through the process, and we inspect the site as well. So we sell to a lot of first-time home buyers and who may not have lived in an HOA, and we find that sometimes they need to learn how to manage their own new neighbors, make sure that they bring in the trash cans, they're not parking where they're not supposed to, things like that, and not impacting the existing neighborhood. We understand that when we come into a community, we are changing it by developing the houses, and we want to have the least amount of impact as possible. So we stay with the communities to make sure that that happens. We also make sure that they are maintaining the properties, which helps to improve the property values and protect the property values. I'm sure you're familiar with the location. It's a 2-acre nursery on Normandy and 141st, like Amanda had said. The site is actually an assemblage of 5 different parcels, and the structures on it were built approximately in the early 1950s. And it's really just been that way ever since, just the nursery. Here are some existing photos of the site. You can see the homes there. And then I'm sure at one point it was really a very nice facility, but kind of as they're winding down the business, you can see that there's a little bit dilapidated. They're using it for storage and things like that. So, I think that they're about ready to move on. So as we turn to the process, we've been through a very thorough process, starting with the initial due diligence, meetings with staff, submittals and resubmittals, the Planning Commission hearing, which had a unanimous approval, to the City Council hearing we are at today. So as we design the development, we look at addressing a lot of things. Some of them are the surrounding uses, which to the on 3 sides are residential, and then across Normandy to the west is the industrial uses. So our policy is always to reach out to neighbors because we tend to be adjacent, directly adjacent to residential. So we had 2 community meetings, and the second one was right before the COVID closure. We talked about a lot of different things, some of which are the concerns that they felt regarding vehicular circulation and parking. They talked about privacy and scale. We talked about construction, noise, dust, and hours, things like that. But there was also support for the community. I think that they realized that the nursery wouldn't always stay a nursery forever, and that they were grateful that we were approaching them and asking what they wanted. So I think some felt that they would be glad to remove the blighted and underutilized property. that the project would provide new city infrastructure, and that it would provide some revenue for city services. Potentially, they felt that it would increase the property values, bringing new homes in might do that, and that the new residents would support the local businesses and perhaps stimulate the economy. Now that we know the neighborhood's comments, we wanted to start designing the project. So we wanted to make sure we integrated their comments as well as good planning practices. For example, we wanted to make sure we had eyes on the street and the garages tucked away from view, as well as good pedestrian orientation. So in addition to the neighborhood comments, the site also had some constraints. So because the site has only ever been a nursery, there was no need for infrastructure like culverts to carry water or public sidewalks on 141st. So we had to consider those things as well. So all of those design considerations led to the street scene. And so this is the community fronting 141st. So the gate is actually right here on the left. So this was what you would see as the frontage. And you can actually walk right up to the front door. So these homes that are fronting are not behind the gate. So very much more like a traditional single family home where you just walk right up. So you can see in this elevation, there are really fantastic transitions between the third story to the second story and then to the first story. You can see these single story porches rolling with the arched entryways. We have box bays in this location. We have finials. The massing is really broken up by the balconies. And then you can see all the pop outs in the buildings. We have the exposed rafter tails. We had sculpted eaves in this location, and we have sculpted sills underneath the windows. We have recessed windows as well, balconies with decorative iron, and then also a decorative low wall. So there's a lot going on for the eye to look at. Definitely just not a flat plane. Very interesting. And then you can see here the sidewalk and the parkway that we'll be adding as well that currently does not exist on 141st. So here's the site plan. I know you guys had an opportunity to look at it. It's a lot of information, so we don't need to go through every detail. But I did want to talk about how we resolve some of the design constraints that I mentioned earlier. So for example, along the southern curve here, right on Normandy and 141st, we're actually going to be improving that radius. Since the corner was never really completed, we're actually going to be dedicating 7 feet of right-of-way to the city. So we lose some land here, but it's for a good cause so that we can give them a proper sidewalk and a proper landscaped parkway, things like that. So then it will continue on to Normandy and it would be dedicated to the city as public infrastructure. Along the west, because there is no storm drain or culvert, we'll be adding that, as well as improving the landscaping and the buffering along the property line. There's also a driveway cut out that's here on this portion of Normandy along the northern property line, and we'll be raising that to full height as well. So let's move on to some of the concerns raised by the neighbors and how those were addressed in the design. Regarding the vehicular circulation, the neighbors were concerned about turning onto Normandy and the ability to do that. And they were concerned about the apartments to the south on Rosecrans. They said that the apartments were taking their property and then they were hopping the walls and potentially even parking and casing their homes. So those are some of the comments that they had mentioned specifically. The CEQA M&D studied the circulation and it went through a public review process. It actually found that there's no impact to the existing traffic, but not only that, there was no mitigation measures required. The other concern that the public expressed was related to parking, and each home has an attached 2-car garage, and there are an additional 25 exterior spaces. So there are actually more parking spaces than bedrooms in the project, which is quite unique to have more parking than bedrooms. Regarding privacy and scale, as we move through, We considered our surroundings definitely. So to the north, the homes, the northeast and the south are the homes, and then what we did was we had the driveways and the parking adjacent to those as much as possible. So just to create that buffer along those property lines. We also used landscaping to enhance the privacy and the transition. So we're going to plant nearly 150 trees on this 2 acres. So there'll be 12 different species chosen specifically by a landscape architect for their buffering and their beauty. They're in heights of 30 to 50 feet for the screening aspect. But in addition to that, we will also be constructing a 6-foot tall masonry wall completely on our property. So you can see on the eastern property line specifically, we are actually adding quite a lot of trees in this area directly adjacent to the single family detached home, as well as we're requesting to add trees lining the remainder of the eastern property line so that it would screen that neighbor. Along the southern property line, you can see the myriad of trees that we're looking to add as well along the southern property line. And then this is the northern property line. The northern property line has that 3-story townhome development already adjacent to it. And then also along the western property line, which is Normandy. We would have layers of landscaping. So we would start with the parkway, and then within our community, also just layers and layers of trees to screen on Normandy. Continuing on with the landscape discussion, in our open space, we have a central open space amenity, and that includes a barbecue, a dining table and chairs, an active lawn, fire pit, and lounge seating. Now, this is very specifically chosen, each one of these, because we actually conduct 4,000 surveys. And in these surveys, for homes of this size, for this type, this is exactly what they're asking for. So these types of amenities. So we, once again, really listen to the people that we're selling to so they could be, happy homeowners and, new residents of Gardena. This is a rendering of what the open space would look like in the central open space in the middle of the development. And you can see through the coordination with all the different groups that the project would be great for the area. It's supported by the general plan goals because it provides residential amenities like open space, recreation, and parking. It's a residential site that accommodates regional housing needs and helps the city reach its RENA requirements. It encourages a variety of architectural styles and massing, floor plans, building materials, and wall articulations. It encourages really a lot consolidation by combining those 5 skinny lots and making them into one cohesive project. And regarding the zoning, we are really just, it's currently zoned residential, and we are just changing it to an R4 residential. So it's not a change from commercial to residential, it's actually remaining residential. So this leads to the project having quite a lot of community benefits, which provides much needed new homes. It revitalizes a blighted and underutilized property. It installs new city infrastructure. It creates a new revenue source for critical city services. The CEQA document shows no adverse impacts to residents, and there are more parking spaces than bedrooms that would be constructed. So with all the coordination and the different parties, we believe it will lead to a beautiful new place for residents to live. So thank you very much. We appreciate your attention and available for any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and start with the council. Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilman Kaskanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Nguyen, I'm going to ask you regarding these trees that you guys are providing within the community. Aren't they quite a bit high trees? I mean, 50 feet. And, I know those cypress trees, they grow really tall. So, I mean, are there going to be any issues going to blocking the view of the properties, or the buyers would complain about it. And you have few trees, I think Australian trees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the trees, they do go in at, 15-gallon, 24-inch box, and then they grow to be that tall eventually. There is a professional landscape company that will maintain them. They may not let them grow to be that tall, but they have the potential to be that tall if we let them grow to that height.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments? I have a couple of them. The trees that he was, Councilmember Cascanian was speaking of, the ones that can grow as high as 50 feet, was that on the north side of the property where it's the taller condominiums?
It's actually on the east and then some of them on the north. So we can go back to the slide of.
You don't have to go back to the slide. I mean,
yeah.
Okay. I wasn't for sure when you said that. What's the tallest height of the properties as far as the footage?
The tallest height of the building is 36'7"
36.7 inches. Okay. And how many units again was this? Because 50. I know you kept referencing the fact that there were more parking spaces than there were bedrooms.
50 units.
50 units. Okay. And each unit has a 2-car garage.
That's correct.
Okay. Very good. And let's see, something else. Okay, so I guess the other question I have is the renderings that you showed. I think you said on the side where there's the entrance on 141st Street, that the homes sit out front first, and then I guess there's a gate behind those first set of homes. Is that my understanding?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of right in the middle of the homes. There is a gate, yes.
So I guess the first set of homes don't have a gate then, and then afterwards, or the homes then behind it are all gated in?
So the garages are in the gate, but their front doors are not. And that's to promote the pedestrian activity and make it feel like they're connected to the neighborhood.
I got you. Okay, I see. Well, first off, I'd like to just thank you for reaching out to the community for those community meetings. I think it's always important whenever you have a new project that's going to come in to hear the concerns of the neighbors around in the area. And so first and foremost, I think that was just really great to do that because you learn a lot about the area because, you're new coming into that particular area and the people who live there know what the issues are. I also think it's great too, the fact that the entrance is going to be off of 141st so that you don't have a residents trying to jump onto Normandy Street, and then also fixing that curb where there's I think you mentioned like an egress or something like that right there on Normandy. So I think that was really good. What is the price range of these homes that are going to go for?
They'll start in the 500,000s. It's considered attainable for the area.
Okay. 500,000, and these are 2 and 3 bedroom units.
Right. So they'll start in the 500,000s. So maybe in the somewhere in the 500,000s. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there an HOA fee for these?
There will be. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't know if you heard when we were speaking with the previous item, we were talking about lighting, as far as lighting around the project as well, walkways and things of that sort. Can you speak to that?
Yes, of course. So in your plans, there is a lighting schematic plan. So it's sheet L5, and you can see all the different types of lighting that we'll be creating. So particularly in the front, there will be a lot of lighting, a low-level lighting, tree up lighting, a lighting near the parking spaces, things like that. Again, we will also do the photometric that Malia had mentioned as part of the building permit as well.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Are there any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, I have a question to the staff.
Go ahead.
This question is to Amanda. She's still with us?
She will be.
Yes.
Hi, Amanda. My question is, right now the property is low density, and I see a portion of it, it's a medium density, different color, right?
That's correct. It's R3, medium density.
Okay, and as far as if we convert to high density or R4, what's the maximum unit that we can do per acreage?
Yes, so in the R4 zoning district, it actually has a minimum a minimum density requirement of 20 units per acre. And with this size of lot, it would have a maximum size of 30 units per acre. And the project is meeting both requirements as it is providing, I believe, a density of around 24 units per acre.
And the property is exactly 2 units? I mean, 2 acre or a little over 2 acre?
I believe it's about 2.02 acres, so just a little over 2 acres.
So we'll be okay with the 50 units, I'm assuming.
Yes, again, they'll be providing approximately 24 units per acre.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, if not,
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, excuse me.
Yes.
City Clerk Semenza. We do have a hand up from Mr. Ahmed, a member of the public.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
This is Deputy Clerk Romero. I believe Mr. Ahmed would like to speak on item 8D1.
Oh,
we can
okay.
ask him right now.
Oh yes, hi. Good afternoon. Or good evening, City Council. So I actually had a just an idea for this. I was listening to the council meeting, so just had an idea just for City Council to possibly consider. So my question was, City should possibly consider asking the developer to install a green center median with trees on South Normandy Avenue between 139th and 141th Street next to the property, since the developer is already essentially digging and pouring cement for the sidewalk. And they're essentially transferring that sidewalk to the city for city maintenance. And I think it would be very easy possibly for the developer to essentially incorporate that into a traffic study and essentially incorporate a green center median. Essentially, it would be right next to this property on South Normandy Avenue between 139th Street and 141th Street, and probably would cost no more than, I would say, $25,000 or $30,000 with the traffic study included, with the trees and center median and the water lines. So that's something I would, essentially recommend just as a general public to, for the city to possibly consider asking if the developer could potentially install a green center median on South Normandy Avenue between 139th and 141st Street.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any more questions or comments at this time from members of the council? Okay, if not, just like to just mention to the developer, it's definitely going to be an improvement from what the property previously looked like. And I think it can only get better from there. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at this time and ask if I can get a motion on resolution number 6481 and 6482.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
No.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay. Next item is ordinance number 1823. If I can get a member of the council to introduce this. Okay. Madam City Clerk, Councilmember Tanaka said he'd like to introduce ordinance number 1823.
So noted.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to item number 8C1, which is our COVID-19 update. Mr. City Manager, go ahead.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, this is our item 8C1 COVID update. As of today, November 10, 2020, I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
So as of November 10, 2020, our case count is now at 1,408 COVID cases. That's up 70 cases from the last time I reported, which is 2 weeks ago. Our death count is now at 56. That's one more than 2 weeks ago. We're now currently fourth in the South Bay as far as infection, and our infection rate is currently at 2.37%. Over the last 2 weeks, the number of positive COVID-19 cases in Gardena has increased by 4.68%, with an average daily increase of 0.37%. Compare that to LA County. LA County experienced a 7.42% increase over the last 2 weeks. Some impacts on our healthcare facilities. Our healthcare facilities are stable, and they're able to maintain all functions without further assistance. The South Bay infection rate, among all the 15 South Bay cities, Inglewood has by far the highest infection rate at 3.16%, followed by Hawthorne at 2.67%. Lawndale now has surpassed Gardena at 2.44, and Gardena is at 2.37% as of today. Also to note, the revised health officer order from Friday, October 23rd, 2020, allowed the following business sectors to reopen: batting cages, miniature golf, and go-kart racing to operate outdoors only. Other outdoor and all indoor family entertainment activities must remain closed at this time. Personal care establishments may reopen indoor services with modifications. The percentage of high need students allowed at any one time on a K-12 campus is now at 25%. TK to second grades may reopen for classroom instruction if the school's waiver application has been approved by the LA County Department of Public Health. Wineries that produce their own wine that have tasting rooms are no longer required to serve meals with wine services. At this time, bars, indoor dining, indoor worship services, indoor fitness facilities, and all entertainment venues not listed, not previously discussed are still closed. We've gotten a few calls about entertainment venues and indoor fitness facilities. Obviously, those are still to remain closed. Finally, the city is still planning on partnering with LA County to help distribute the flu vaccine as a primer to when the COVID-19 vaccine becomes available. So we are still finalizing the MOU with LA County. This is the familiar graph that I've shown before. Obviously, again, 1,408 total cases in Gardena, 56 total deaths. As you can see, both percentage change and daily rate of increase are slightly ticking up, slightly going up. So it's a little bit of cause for concern, but it's marginal at this point in the city of Gardena. That concludes the COVID-19 report. I also want to note that if you haven't heard already, the drug manufacturer Pfizer has reported that they are experiencing better than 90% efficacy on the vaccine that they are producing. So that's certainly is good news. They've said that they've already produced about 90 million doses worldwide, and by the 2021 they'll be able to produce about 1.3 or 1.4 billion doses 2021 worldwide. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be monitoring that and see where it goes. But definitely at this time, some positive news, considering that the flu vaccine is only about 40 to 50% effective. The COVID-19 vaccine that Pfizer has developed seems to be working well at over 90% efficacy. What they don't know is the dosage, right? The flu vaccine, you have to take it every year, depending on the strain. They still don't know if this is a one-time deal, much like the polio or other vaccines we have currently. That, Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Wow, well, it's better news than what we had 2 weeks ago. So with that being said, let's move on to item number 8D1. Mr. City Manager, go ahead.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council. Agenda item 8D1 is approved plans and specifications and award construction contract for Masbukai Improvement Phase 1 to reconstruct shade structure project, job number 820 to Dirk ENC Incorporated in the amount of $85,490. A total of 6 bids were received on October 29, 2020. The apparent lowest responsible bidder, Dirk ENC Incorporated, is a state licensed contractor with verified construction experience in this field and will be required to meet all bonding and financial standards. At the April 14, 2020 council meeting, City Council approved the purchase order of a sunshade structure from USA Shade and Fabric Structures in the amount of $52,825.75. USA Shade and Fabric Structures has since completed the engineering construction drawings and is ready to begin prefabrication. Prefabrication will be completed by January 2020, and the site contractor, Dirk ENC, will be ready to begin construction. The project scope consists of demolishing a 74-year-old shade structure, removing and disposing of lead-based paint, constructing a proposed concrete pad, installing barbecue grills, pull boxes, and a PVC conduit, and coordinating with the shade structure contractor to install the new fabric sunshade structure at Masbukai Park. Sufficient funds to complete the project were appropriated by the City Council in the 2020-2021 capital improvement budget using park in lieu funds. Financial impact is budget amount is $483,500. Funding source is park in lieu. What's required tonight is to approve plans and specifications and award contract to Dirk ENC Incorporated.
Okay. I'm going to open it up for questions. A couple of quick questions. Mr. City Manager, is this the same type of shading like what we have at Raleigh Park, that new shading that was put there?
I will have to defer to Kevin Kwok. He is more familiar with the type of shade structure. Kevin, are you available?
Okay, while we're waiting for him to come on, are there any other questions from any members of the council?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. City Manager, you mentioned around $400-some thousand, but we are approving today the $85,000 only, right?
That is correct. Madam Mayor, and to answer the question, it is the same shade structure, same type of shade structure.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Councilman Kiskane, did you have any more questions with that?
No, thank you.
Okay, and then the other question I had is, what is a pull box?
Pull box. Ooh.
And while you're waiting for the response, are there any other questions any other members have for the city manager?
So I had a real quick one, Madam Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the material that we're making this out of, there was no way for us to do solar on this this project, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, you guys can get back to me on the poll box. I was just curious what it was. But if there are no more questions and comments, can I get a motion to—
Madam Mayor,
I'm sorry,
we have a member of the public, Mr. Ahmed, who wishes to speak on this item.
That's right. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, yes. Hi. Yes. Thank you so much. I was just wondering, because I know the scope of the project is, fairly large, almost a price of a house, $436,000. would there, I mean, I know the city is really invested in this concept, but I was wondering, is there a way we could possibly rethink the concept, possibly incorporate solar, possibly being more energy efficient, and even lowering the electric bill for the city? For example, like the lights, if there's more electricity being developed, even partnering with other nonprofits, looking to other cities, because I do know there are some other cities that actually have converted, incorporated solar and have benefited with the, essentially the credits. Essentially, if there's more solar electricity generated here, it could essentially offset the electrical bill for the city at other locations. And essentially, because this project would be, once it's installed, it'll be at our city for at least the next possibly 30 years, and it would depreciate over 30 years at the minimum. So I would just think about, possibly looking to, if not this project, maybe in the future, other locations, maybe even city municipal parking lots, and incorporating solar canopies there. So that's all I had. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Manager, would you like to address that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, yes. That is actually a very good comment. And, obviously we're always, we have a sustainable division in the city. We do think about, any chance we can incorporate something like a solar, panels within a project. Obviously we would want to incorporate that. However, we do have some infrastructure items that need to be addressed before we can even consider solar panels. For instance, some of the structures in our parks are very old, and they're not rated, to hold the weight of solar panels. So we would actually have to plan a course of action to replace the roofs, or replace the buildings themselves before we can actually incorporate solar panels in there. But we do have some planning to do. Obviously, the 400,000, the scope is not, very big. This is not just one park, but multiple parks that we're planning to upgrade. But yes, later time, obviously, if we have the opportunity to do that, we would be incorporating that in the projects, especially if we can partner with, certain companies or energy firms out there that they can help us offset the cost of actual systems themselves.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Just one, Madam Mayor, that I'm happy to see this upgraded at this park. It's right there on the corner, and that structure is long overdue. So I'm happy to see that upgrade going in there. It'll be a nice addition. I'm sure the community that utilizes that park will be happy to see it. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Any more questions or comments?
And Madam Mayor, this is just the start of the projects that we're doing to upgrade our parks. So obviously there's more to come. And to answer your question, the pool box is essentially a utility box where we'll have electrical items in there. So it's a utility box. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll know that for next time. Thank you.
Okay. So will I.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, if not, can I get a motion to approve plans and award the construction contract to Dark ENC?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. Oh, go. I'll let Councilwoman Francis. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Francis.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 8E1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8E1 is authorization to purchase 5 patrol vehicles from National Auto Fleet Group in the amount of $209,414 and expend build-out costs in the amount of $68,443. Staff respectfully recommends that City Council authorize the Police Department to purchase 5 new 2021 Ford Utility Police Interceptor all-wheel drive vehicles from National Auto Fleet Group for a total cost of $209,414, which includes a 10.25 sales tax and an 8.75 tire tax, $8.75 tire tax for each vehicle. The ongoing replacement of capital equipment is necessary to maintain a fleet inventory that is safe, efficient, and reliable. This purchase for 5 new patrol vehicles will replace the older vehicles that have reached the end of their useful service life due to age, mileage, and general wear and tear. National Auto Fleet Group will sell and deliver the new vehicles available under Sourcewell Master Vehicle Contract number 120716, formerly known as the National Joint Powers Alliance NJPA contract. Total price for each vehicle, including sales tax and tire tax, is $41,616 for patrol vehicles and $42,283 for the K9 patrol unit. Basically, the main difference is you have additional cages and whatnot for the K9 patrol unit. Terms are net 30 days and delivery is within 120 to 180 days thereafter. 4 vehicles will be assigned to patrol and will be purchased using previously budgeted funds from the Vehicle Replacement Fund number 23. 1 vehicle will be assigned to the K9 team and will be purchased and outfitted using asset forfeiture money. The reason for that is asset forfeiture fund must be used for specialized enforcement, such as the K9 program. The total build-out cost for outfitting the vehicles with necessary South Bay Regional Public Communications Authority, SBR's PCA equipment is approximately $51,327 for the 4 of the patrol vehicles and $17,116 for the K9 vehicle, at a total cost of $68,443. Basically, we take these 4 brand new cars and then ship them over to the RCC for retrofit with lights, bars, etc. The budget amount is $209,414 for the vehicle purchases and the $68,443 for the build out from RCC. Funding source, again, it's Vehicle Replacement Fund. Purchase is $150,015 and the build out is $51,327. And then the other car is from Asset Forfeiture Fund, which is $42,283, and the build out for that is $17,116. What's required tonight is to authorize the purchase and the build out cost.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this item?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay, so number 1, you talked about the K9 unit needing more stuff. So does that also includes the new air conditioning vents that need to be traveled through the back, or is that additional?
That would include anything that the K9 unit would need, including extra venting to the back for the dog. And then obviously the cages to separate the dog from the front, and then I believe some locks and whatnot.
Okay, so the second question is how much would we estimate saving by I'm trying to think of the word that we would call it, is taking the older units and removing the usable parts from those units and using them for the new units?
So it's a great question, Councilmember Tanaka. If the units are interchangeable, meaning the 2021 Interceptor is the same, dimensionally the same as the older one, which I don't know the year of the older ones, but if it is, then obviously we can repurpose those units if they're serviceable. Right. Obviously, if it's not, then new units would have to go in because they won't fit.
Okay, so there is a possibility that we could save some money by, I guess, scavenging from one unit to put on a new unit.
There is the opportunity to do that, but I think it's de minimis as far as the amount.
Right.
You know, it's again usable life and whatnot. But if I think I have a note here that we could probably save about 609. Again, I don't know the details on the other cars.
But that is an option. So okay, yes. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
The new Interceptors are different body styles. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned, Madam, the city manager, you mentioned age and mileage of the other cars that we're replacing. What's the age and mileage look like?
I don't have the age and mileage of the old cars here, but maybe Chief Safel, are you on? Chief Safel will be on right now, a few seconds.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So the average mileage for each one of the cars is about 46,000 miles for our entire fleet. The average age of the vehicles are 2016s is what we have. So we're anywhere between 30 and 45,000 for these specific ones that will be replaced. Now, although that might be in normal terms low mileage, it's actually the engine hours, because these engines run, some of them 24 hours a day, and that's what causes the wear and tear on our vehicles.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments?
And we are sending the used ones to auction, correct?
Yes. So most of them go to auction, but then some of them are also rehabilitated and given to other departments that may be in need. I know you've seen a Ford Explorer driving around with Public Works on the side. They're painted and rehabilitated. So we try to get as much use as the vehicles as we can.
Thank you.
Chief Safel, would you comment on the interchangeability of some of the parts that Councilmember Tanaka had inquired about? It appears that 2021 is a newer body style. Could we repurpose those?
So the 2021s are a new body style. And what that basically affects is the cage. All the electronic components go over, light bars, that sort of thing. So really, the width of the new vehicles is a slightly bigger. So you have to get a little bit bigger cage. But again, all the other parts that are salvageable that we can use, we do.
Do you have that amount, Chief, as far as the savings?
Yeah, so by using all of the parts and moving over to the new vehicles, we realize a cost savings of $64,609, which is pretty significant in the build of these cars.
Thank you, Chief.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, if not,
Madam Mayor, excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is City Clerk Semenza. We do have a raised hand by a member of the public, Mr. Ahmed.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, City Council once again. So there is another Ford vehicle that other more affluent cities, like for example, Hermosa Beach, they are driving hybrid. It's the same make and model. It's the 2021 Police Interceptor Utility Hybrid all-vehicle drive. Essentially, Ford is advertising that it can save 1,276 gallons of fuel per year, it compared to the standard vehicle. So just that alone could potentially save the city approximately $5,600 each year. And then as Chief Safel just mentioned, most of these vehicles are idling. So essentially it's not the mileage, it's essentially the engine idle. So if just by going with a hybrid version of it's the same, it's designed by Ford, it's the same vehicle, it's the Police Interceptor 2021 Police Interceptor Hybrid, utility hybrid, all-wheel drive. So essentially it's the same thing, just has a hybrid battery in it, and just that alone will essentially save, and it potentially could even last longer. That's going to be the biggest thing. It's going to have less wear and tear. The engine temperature is going to be lower. It's going to add more longevity of the vehicle. So essentially, you could probably drive the vehicle 250,000 miles. It's a hybrid technology. It's police rated. Hermosa Beach has it. And other cities have it. New York has multiple of these. So essentially they're being used nationwide. They're built for pursuit. They essentially have better, essentially they take off faster since they have the hybrid motor kicking in, and less gas, less pollution. Think about all the pollution that we're pumping into the lungs of the small children, of our community. And just by going green, I think it would reimagine our city, since, you know, we're essentially reimagining policing, we're reimagining rebuilding Gardena. So I would encourage the city possibly to piggyback on a CHP contract that enables the city to purchase, essentially piggyback on an existing governmental contract with CHP to see if you can potentially, or even partnering with other cities, if you can ask other cities, you know, can we piggyback on their, essentially there's a clause in that contract that does enable other cities to piggyback onto their contract. So I would say, you know, possibly revote this on the next city council meeting and explore the 2021 police utility hybrid. Essentially is pursued rated and would save our environment much lower, essentially $5,600 less in fuel, and would last longer. So I just want to encourage the city to possibly, essentially revisit this next city council meeting with the hybrid motor option. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Manager or even Chief Spell, either one. Is that something, have we considered that option of a hybrid vehicle? And do we know like any studies as far as other cities that have those type of vehicles? Are they more effective, better, so on?
Mayor Serta, that was actually a very good question by Mr. Ahmed. Chief Safel, is there any data as far as use of hybrid on actual patrol vehicles?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, great. So about 6 months ago, we started looking at the hybrids, and where we are at right now is that we know that there are a couple of agencies that are around us that are basically beta testing the product. What our concerns are right now is the electrical component and how they're going to feed into what is installed by RCC. So our plan was to purchase these vehicles, let the other city beta test for a year to see what possible problems they encounter. And if there are none, migrate or migrate some of the vehicles in that direction. What we didn't want to be is the first city to do it and experience some issues regarding these vehicles because of the expense. So we just wanted to make sure that they were being beta tested. We watched what was happening in regards to the electronic components and then move that way.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, depending on the data that we get from these, it's going to take a while before we get any usable data as far as effectiveness and efficiency of these cars. Might be a while before we start considering buying hybrid vehicles, but we are. We do listen to our constituents, and if it does make sense, again, if it makes sense, then we will adopt it. Only if we are not the lead agency to sort of test these out. We want to be able to, because once you buy it, that's it, and it's expensive to outfit them, as you can see on this contract with RCC. So we just don't want to buy the wrong type of cars and then having to change over again later on. So Chief Safel is absolutely correct in the sense that we want to test them and have other agencies beta test the new technologies before we adopt them.
Okay, well, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Watch what some of the other cities are doing and let them be the guinea pig first. Okay.
Madam Mayor, we need to take under consideration hybrid vehicle. It's about 25 to 30% more expensive than the regular vehicle. So on the $200,000 amount, it will add up another $60,000 on the general total. So you might want to take that under consideration too, and make the math if it's suitable, saving gas with $60,000, or so you're going to take that under consideration as well.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, just to add to that as well, if it is found that hybrid vehicles are within acceptable standards with police departments, because obviously they have some more rigorous demands than say Public Works.
Right.
We can apply with, and this might be the wave of the future. We can apply with AQMD because they do give us a substantial amount of money every year to use hybrid or all electric cars in a fleet and integrate them in the fleet. And if we can use it for, let's say, PD purposes, there is a possibility to apply to get a higher amount of money because we're outfitting, an entire, police agency now. Now, I'm not promising anything, but we can advocate for something like that. Hey, we're going to be using that from now on, et cetera, et cetera. We would like a higher allocation from AQMD, and that's a possibility.
Okay.
And then when you get there, then you're not dependent on the general fund to outfit your vehicle replacement PD. So it becomes a little bit more, beneficial to the general fund. But like we said, we don't know. We just don't know if that's going to be the hybrids are going to be, acceptable for the demands of the police department.
Okay, got it.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
So, Chief, is Hermosa the only one in the South Bay beta testing these, or is there a city closer to our geography that's using these? Because Hermosa is like what, 2 miles square, if that.
Yeah, I believe Hawthorne is going to be either beta testing now or going to beta test. So we have more comparable cities that we can look at to do our study.
Okay. Well, I like the fact that you're not jumping into this and that you're allowing yourself to look and see how this actually plays out with other cities before we start, like Councilman Cascanian said, before we start committing way more money on vehicles and then get stuck with them. So I applaud you for actually, kind of sitting back on this one.
Okay. Any more questions or comments?
I think right now, we might want to move slow in that direction because we still don't have the infrastructure or the charging stations to support all that has to be installed. And so we're still just a little ways away, not too far away though. In the very near future, we're all going to be heading that way. But I think right now we just have to use what's available to us, and again, with an eye watching what's going on near the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, any more questions, comments? If not, can I get a motion to authorize the purchase and the build-out cost?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Francis. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next up is item number 8G1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda item 8G1 is to approve award of contract to Intercon Security Systems Incorporated for security guard services for a term of 2 years with 3 one-year options and a total contract of up to $571,974. For several years, G-Trans had used 2 public safety officers from the Gardena Police Department patrolling its facility from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. I want to note that PSOs are not, regular police officers. These officers were overseen by a GPD lieutenant, and most recently, when one of the 2 resigned, we had 2, so 1 resigned, G-Trans reduced to a 5-day week instead of a 7-day week schedule, using 1 officer along with the same oversight. These officers did basic patrol and monitoring only during these hours. The remaining PSO resigned from the city in February 2020, leaving G-Trans with no patrol. So in order to provide a greater degree of monitoring and patrolling of its facilities and assets, as well as provide a level of flexibility in the type of and location of security services to be performed, G-Trans sought to explore hiring unarmed security services. G-Trans issued a solicitation for the services of a qualified firm and performed a comprehensive procurement process and evaluation. Following interviews to clarify offers with the top 3 ranked firms, G-Trans proceeded to request and receive a best and final offer from its top ranked firm, Intercon Security Systems Incorporated, which I want to note that it is also a minority business enterprise, or MBE.
Good.
Intercon's comprehensive employee training and development program and employee screening policies were wide-ranging, and as were their tools to communicate with both employees and clients, as well as provide good data for use in G-Trans's security program. The contract terms for 2 base years with 3 one-year options. The service will include an annual base of 2,912 hours with additional non-guaranteed 500 hours and an option for 500 more hours to accommodate other assignments. The non-guaranteed and optional hours would only be used upon prior G-Trans management approval. G-Trans determined their pricing to be fair and reasonable. The funds for this project are included in the fiscal year 21-22 budgets previously approved by the City Council. Funds for subsequent years will be included in future budgets for council consideration. There is no impact to the general fund. What's required is to approve award contract to Intercon Security Systems Incorporated.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilman Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Mr. City Manager, we have here basically total of 5 years, which is term of 2 years on the beginning, and then one single every year for next 3 years, right?
That is correct.
So approximately a little over $115,000 a year we're going to pay for the services. Are these security guards, are they armed first of all, or they're not armed?
They are unarmed security services. If there is a need for armed response, GPD would still respond to G-Trans.
Okay, and it's going to be total of how many security guard at a time?
Let's see. There's listed here. Sorry.
Okay.
I want to say two officers, but Mr. Crespo, hold on one second. There is one security guard at a time.
And we did, I'm assuming, went out there and see if, if there is anybody else can provide the service with the lesser amount.
Yes, we, as I stated on the gender report, we've solicited several different firms, and Intercon would be your lowest responsible bidder.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments?
Okay, so is Mr. Crespo on tonight?
Yes.
Okay, so I understand that we had some PSO people doing this job. They weren't getting any overtime or any benefits or anything, so they all got real jobs. And now Bus Lines has nobody, correct?
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, that is correct, sir.
And how long have they not had anybody?
Since approximately February, right when the pandemic started.
Okay, so this company that you're looking to hire, what services are they going to actually perform for you?
So the idea is they're going to be doing monitoring of the yard, patrolling, walking around the facility from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., which is really the hours that it's a ghost town over here.
Right.
Our parking lot is dark, so they'll kind of help monitor, walk our final employees of the night to their cars. But really at the end, they're just walking around the building. This company has different technology that, has a different sensors that we can put throughout the property to kind of encourage them to walk and look at all the dark areas. We have a lot of gates, as you guys know, so they'll be going through the gates. But really, they're just eyes that are here throughout the night when nobody else is here, right? So they will observe and report anything they see. In addition, we are looking to task them with some COVID responsibilities, meaning temperature checking, things that our staff is currently doing and taking time to do other things. So they'll be doing temperature checking, We have a lot of deliveries that are delivered throughout the day from vendors. Currently, our maintenance department has to run over, stop what they're doing to go check their temperature before we let vendors in. So these are all little things that we envision the guards to be able to do. Sorry about that.
You have to get that.
My phone, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so my thought kind of just. Okay, so basically, that's all they're going to do is the same job as the non-sworn police officer people were doing, right?
Well, we the main function of the job, the main portion is that, but we did add additional options that, if needed, we would add. So, for example, as you guys are fully aware, we've been trying to launch our NFL service to the Sophie Stadium. So that was we thought that they might be able to assist us at heavy boarding locations to help us more manage crowd control as passengers are helping us are gathering at these locations. Also, sometimes we have we need assistance or at some of the high schools to just help with boarding and helping ensure that people are paying the fare. So we thought we might explore using some of those hours for them to support our supervisory team out there.
Okay, so how are they going to interact with our police department G-Trans officers?
That's a great question. So we still envision providing them a radio, and then also, providing them the watch commander's phone numbers and cell phones so they have access to contact PD, just like currently.
Okay, so, I mean, if they get in trouble, they'll just call the G-Trans officers.
Yeah, and if it's late night, it's 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, and then they'll, have to call PD for regular assistance.
Well, so that would be actually at the G-Trans facility, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Are there any more? Go ahead.
Okay, so in addition to the 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning, they also do regular, but it looks like it's 24 hours that you have somebody around the clock. Is that, doing temperature check in the morning, employees, eating deliveries, working on the buses that stop at school. So you're pretty much.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, Ms. Francis. Not exactly. We don't. The main hours are going to be from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Right. So just picture there'll always be a guard here at the facility. In the contract, we have 500 or almost up to 1,000 hours to use optionally, and that's where we might use an hour or 2 hours in the morning to do temperature checks, or maybe an hour or 2 in the afternoons to do help with assistance with boarding. But there definitely going to be times throughout the PM portion of the day where we will not have somebody here.
Okay, and that's the 1,000 hours. That's per year or annual 1,000 hours or weekly or?
Yeah, no, it's per year. It's per year.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? I had one because maybe I'm a little confused with this here. So I see the hours that you require the security people to be there, but you mentioned as far as helping with some of the boarding at the schools. So now are they leaving the G-Trans campus and now going to those locations?
Yes. So good point, Mayor Serta. So these additional hours, they would be required to possibly provide additional guard to go help us in those locations at those.
Oh, an additional guard. Okay, yeah. So you're not losing that one at the campus there or at G-Trans. Okay.
Not this just gives us 1,000 more hours to be more flexible for different events.
Okay.
Right. Thanks. So it's actually additional coverage that we can use at our approval.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Any more questions or comments? No? Okay. If not, can I get a motion to approve the, I'm sorry, Madam City Clerk, are there any speakers on this item?
No. No, Madam no, Madam Mayor. Pardon
It's okay,
me.
it's getting late.
It's getting late. There are no one from the public wishing to speak. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, can I get a motion to approve the award contract?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Cascanian and a second by Councilmember Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Cascanian,
Yes.
Councilmember Tanaka,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Okay, next we're going to move on to, let's see, council items, directives, and remarks. We're going to begin tonight with directives. Any member of the council have any directives at this time? Okay, we'll start with Councilmember Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The directive, I would like to get second if it's possible. Lately, I've been noticing a tow truck, U.S. Tow, coming into the city with the Hawthorne. It says U.S. Tow Hawthorne, and towing vehicles away. And I have pictures, obviously, so I can provide it to the city. I would like to find out if these vehicles are going to a Gardena facility or it's going to a Hawthorne facility. And it was a couple times that parking enforcement was towing the vehicle. So now it raises the questions that when we gave the contract to U.S. Tow, they were not ready 100% to operate their facility in Gardena. So I would like to find out if their facility is being ready and they are operating or not, and if the vehicles are going to Gardena facility or it's Hawthorne facility, because if it goes to Hawthorne, they collect the money and it's gone. So if it's a parking, they get the money. But if it's a police, now I understand we can track it down. So I would like to put this and make sure maybe the chief will follow up on this one too. If their facility is up and running 100% in Gardena facility, it meets the police requirement.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second it. Okay, any other directors? I can't hear you. Tanaka, can't hear you.
So I'm not sure what Councilman Cascane is asking for. Is he asking for a report that says that U.S. Tow is not doing what the contract says, or are they doing illegal activities right now? I mean, is it something that we need to legally pursue? So I'm not sure.
I've been seeing tow trucks. It says U.S. Tow Hawthorne towing vehicles from Gardena. I want to make sure that those vehicles going to the Gardena facility, to Gardena impound yard. So if or it's going to Hawthorne, I have no idea. So I just want to make sure if it goes to Hawthorne and it's a parking enforcement, they're just towing the vehicle. And if they release the vehicle from Hawthorne, Hawthorne is going to collect the money. Bang, we lost the revenue right there. So, and plus, they were not ready when we initially gave them the contract. They told us they will be ready in October. So now it's a year later. I don't know if it's ready or not. Nobody followed up on it. So I would like to, investigate that, or, not investigate, just to make sure, the vehicles are going and the revenue is in the city.
Okay, I get it. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I had a second.
Madam Mayor, we actually have a full report that we're working on regarding
U.S. Tow?
U.S. Tow, and because we are able to audit them if needed. If that's the case, then we can go in there and find out what's going on.
Okay.
That is actually underway.
Okay.
But we just, we're collecting data at this point.
Got it. Okay, so we'll all hear back in a report.
We will have a full report, and I'll send it to the full city council.
Okay, sounds good. Are there any other directors at this time?
I have one, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
So I'm down by Human Services all the time and by the swimming pool, and I actually live down the street. So with COVID and this on LaSalle being kind of a thoroughfare from 162 to Redondo Beach Boulevard, there's been a high amount of speeding traffic going through this residential area on a daily basis. So if I could get the chief maybe to look at LaSalle, at least by where the swimming pool and human services are, if we could get something painted into the street that actually slows people down in that area, if it even just said, slow, because we have a lot of seniors there, we have a lot of kids that still go down there, just something to slow them down, at least from the pool to 162nd. If we can look at a feasibility of putting, something painted in the street, that's a speed queller, I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay. Ronnie, you sure you don't want to police that yourself?
You know what? I've been tempted. I'm telling you, there's a couple of motorcycles that run up and down the street. This is crazy.
I'm sure you were ready for them.
Yeah, but my neighbors look at me like, "What are you going to do about this?" So it's like, fine. I said, "Okay, I'll
okay." Any other directives? Okay, if not, let's move on to city manager's remarks regarding our previous directives.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, I don't have any directives to report on, but we do have some announcements to make. First one is our holiday decorating contest. City of Gardena and the Gardena Beautification Committee invites everyone to participate in our city's holiday home decorating contest. Prizes will be awarded to the best decorated houses in the city of Gardena. So to do that, this is what the flyer says. You register, email your photo of your home along with your name, address at gardenaevents@cityofgardena.org. Deadline is Friday, December 11th. The winners will receive a special yard sign, gift certificate, and recognition at the January City Council meeting.
Nice.
Any questions, please call 310-217-9537. Second, we'll be having our 51st annual Veterans Day service, drive-through event because of COVID. Just special event for our veterans, honoring our military veterans and active personnel. It's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, November 11, 2020. Starts at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here at the City Hall complex. This is co-sponsored by the Gardena Elks Lodge 1919, VFW Post 1961, VFW Post 3261, Ladies Auxiliary. Masks and care packages will be provided to veterans. You can please bring your veteran or military ID to receive the care package. In order to comply with health regulations, there will be no walk-ups allowed, and face coverings are required. Any questions, please direct them to 310-217-9537. And lastly, I have one more item to go over. We do have a video tonight highlighting the great work once again by the City of Gardena Recreation and Human Services Department. Thank you, Stephanie and Nikki and everybody in the Rec and Human Services for another busy month. We have COVID, but they don't stop. And if you participated in the Halloween event that we have, that it was highly successful. Our Halloween this year was a drive-through event that took place on Friday, October 30th. Huge turnout. There's over 5,000 visitors stopping by at one of the 6 spooky locations that we have throughout the city. Really great to see the community and surrounding communities celebrating, safely and responsibly this Halloween season. We also want to give a special thank you to Waste Resources of Gardena, the Gardena Elks, our Public Works Department, our PD for helping out, and again for special shout out to the Rec and Human Services for putting out such a tremendous event. It was highly, highly successful. So we have a recreation highlight video. Recreation highlight video. So, highly successful event, very spooky. Just want to clarify that it was not me saying that over and over again. Recreation highlight video was a loop, was a technical difficulty, so I apologize for that. But yeah, a great job, Rec Human Services, for putting on such a great event. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I'm muted. I am, okay. So let's go ahead and move on to remarks tonight. We're going to begin with Councilmember Kaskanian.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything to report at this time, but I just want to say thank you to all our veterans. It's a Veteran Day tomorrow. Thank you for their service and sacrifice, they did to our country. That's why we are here right now. So thank you very much, and I salute them, everybody, and that's my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Councilmember Tanaka.
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. So since last time, the Elks, we came to the city and presented a check for our Veterans Day. We were glad to get a grant that we could furnish to the city. I attended the city's Halloween drive-by, which I'm telling you what, people could not thank us enough for just giving kids an opportunity to do Halloween with COVID. And the same next day, we did a drive-by Halloween for our kids at the Elks Lodge, where they drove through our parking lot. And that was actually a 2-hour event that was really great. So I thank Stephanie and all of her staff for helping us. And we were glad that we could help the city with theirs. So that was a great partnership. Restaurant Week, I had a great time doing my Restaurant Week presentation. I hope the community likes it, and I hope that they visit the restaurant that I promoted the other day. So kudos to Leonard Kim and his wife, Aubrey. I attended the South Base COG Steering Committee meeting, and I was actually contacted by a couple of USC grad students that wanted to do a Zoom meeting regarding Gardena and the services that we provided to non-English speaking Japanese residents in our city. And that was quite an experience for both of us, that I could provide them with some information. And for Veterans Day, just go out and thank a vet. Thank every vet that you can for everything that they've done for us, the sacrifices that they've made, that their families have made while they're away, because it's important that freedom is not free. And there are many people that have served. And I just want to lastly say that my dear friend from high school, Ed Swaggart, his dad at 99 and a half years old passed away yesterday, was trying to make it to 100 and didn't quite make it. But my condolences to the Swaggart family, just knowing that poor dad was by himself because of COVID. They wouldn't let anybody into the ICU to visit him. So that ends my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And for myself, since the last, excuse me, council meeting, I had the opportunity to be on a Zoom panel for AQMD as they had a plenary session for race and environmental justice, as well as dealing with Black Lives Matter. And it was a really good session with a variety of speakers on it. There were so many speakers that we only got a chance to answer a couple of questions, but I'm glad I was able to just participate on there so people could understand, what we as elected officials deal with as it relates to issues where people want to protest and be able to have, the opportunity to come before groups and speak their mind on things that they feel are unjust. But it was a really good session, and I'm happy I was able to sit on that. Also, I wasn't here for the Halloween giveaway and the drive-through, but I heard so many reports from people telling me how great it was. Everybody kept texting me, and they just kept saying, this is amazing, and the lines were around the block. So I just want to, thank the Recreation and Human Services for just doing a great job with that. It was just, I kept getting so many texts. I was like, wow, I wish I was there just to see it all. But again, it was really, everybody was very, very happy with it. So thank you guys for doing that. I'd also just like to thank our community as a whole for coming out and participating for our election day. I mean, we had such great record number turnout. So just want to say thank you to our community for getting out there and voting in whatever manner you did, whether it was dropping off ballots at the ballot box or going in person. I'd like to just thank our city clerk's office. You guys had a lot of great PSAs out there, and just your social media was really good. And when I went in to vote and I was asking, what's the turnout been like? And they said, it's been busy all day. So it was really good. So again, thank you guys, city clerk's office, for what you guys did as well to make that happen here in our city. And as of last Monday, I participated in my ethics training class. So I'm certified again for 2 more years. And I just want to make sure all of my colleagues take it too, so that you too are certified. And it was mentioned earlier, just want to again invite everybody to come out to our Veterans Day ceremony tomorrow. I believe all council members will probably be there, and help us, thank all of our veterans as they drive by. Also, this is still Restaurant Week, so continue eating at all of our restaurants this week. Remember, take a picture of your meal or your receipt, submit it on Instagram or I think Facebook too, with the hashtag Dine Gardena, I believe it is, and you could win possibly a gift card to one of 10 restaurants that were selected. So please continue doing that. We probably won't meet, well, I know we won't meet before Thanksgiving, so I want to wish everybody in advance a happy Thanksgiving. And remember to support our small businesses on Small Business Saturday, which will be on November 28th. Right after Thanksgiving. So with that, that ends my report. And next up is Councilmember Francis.
Excuse me. Okay. Since we met last, I had an opportunity to vote in person. I like the tradition of going to the polls, and they finally moved into 20th century. The big books they used to have no longer there. They have a little computer screen, and everybody's very helpful. I walked right in and was out in no time. So thank you, Madam City Clerk and our Deputy Clerk, Becky, Madam City Clerk, Minister Menza, and Becky Romero. Deputy Clerk for helping to organize it. It was very smooth. Probably, I voted in Gardena for a long time, and I think this was probably by far the smoothest. But that one little glitch on the first day, but as far as I could see, everything went very well, and I'm excited to see what the turnout was when we're able to get a report in terms of how many people voted in Gardena. So thank you for that. I also attended all of the Halloween drive-bys, and it was phenomenal. I think Parks and Rec and everybody that's involved, I think you have started a tradition here without even knowing it, because it was very successful. The longest wait I heard was 45 minutes. G-Trans had a wonderful display with the buses, old buses with the skeletons inside. But the best part about the whole thing, I thought I would go back around to take a closer look. It was as if the next day, it was as if nothing was there. It all just they cleaned up, everything had just disappeared. And that was really super great because it is added to the whole Halloween mystique. And thank you, Gardena Elks, for the scary clowns down at Nakaoka. They were scary, oh my goodness. But it was a great event. Also, I'm encouraging everyone to participate in Restaurant Week. It starts November 8th and it is through November 14th. Go to your favorite restaurant. Gardena is very fortunate because we have, I forget the next number, but we have any type of ethnic, multicultural restaurant you like: Thai, Mexican food, Chinese food, Peruvian, whatever food you like, you can find it here in Gardena. Soul food, American food, it's here in Gardena. And it's all pretty good too. I've yet to have a bad meal here in the city of Gardena. So please support our restaurants. They need you. We need them because it's an opportunity to get out the house. And if you're like me, it's about time with the pandemic, you've been eating your own cooking for quite some time now. And so it's a great opportunity to eat somebody else's cooking and it'll be pretty good. And that concludes, again, happy Veterans Day to all our veterans. And if you happen to know a Vietnam veteran, give them a little extra thank you, because those of us that grew up during that time know that they didn't get very much recognition for that time. So please, if you know a veteran, and most of us have military personnel in our families or know someone, please thank them for their service, because they sacrificed so much. When you enter the military, you literally hand your life over to whatever service you're going into. And so please thank them. And we hope everybody comes out tomorrow for Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Tanaka, did you want to mention something else?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you very much. I completely kind of forgot, but we recently lost one of our family from the city, Florence Dagura, I believe it is. And Florence was just an awesome volunteer. I remember from the police department, and she was at every event. And if you never knew her name, you would always know her by her smile. She had the greatest smile. It was just that warming, welcoming smile as a volunteer. But she was Volunteer of the Year one time. She was at every event that she could be at. She was a CERT member. Just a great person. And I want to thank Stuart for doing this tribute on Monday night for her on our broadband where we do the emergency radio. It was an awesome tribute to her. I don't think there was a dry eye anywhere on the broadcast that night, but she will be missed. And just know that we really, really, really appreciated all the work that she did. And I know that she was Madam Mayor's friend. So I'm just thankful that we had her as long as we did. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So just a couple of quick announcements here. I know it was mentioned earlier, but Veterans Day is tomorrow. It will be a drive-through event. It will be tomorrow, November the 11th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. My understanding is it will be a small ceremony in the very beginning for, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes. And then afterwards will be the drive-through. So if you know a veteran, please tell them to come by and drive through. And I believe we have a little something for them. Also, the holiday decorating contest that the city manager mentioned. I don't have the flyer in front of me, but I'm sure it will be posted on social media or something. And also, we still have our holiday basket raffle, which the proceeds will benefit our senior citizens program. The basket is valued at $500, and you can go to www.cityofgardena.org/events to get information about purchasing a ticket, and the tickets are $5. And I think that's all of my announcements. Moving on to remembrances. Tonight, we're going to adjourn in memory of Florence DeGuro, who was 73 years of age, a longtime resident of the city of Gardena for over 50 years, and a volunteer for the Gardena Police Department for the past 8 years. Since 2012, she was awarded the Volunteer of the Year Award in 2016. Florence was very active in the community, and she will be greatly missed. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Noburo Kagawa, who was 96 years of age, a longtime resident of Gardena and a veteran. He joined the U.S. Army in 1944 and received the Gardena Military Veteran recognition at the June 25, 2019 City Council meeting. He was a lifelong bowler at Gardena Bowl and many other bowling alleys in the Los Angeles area. He loved and supported the Gardena Police Department and Gardena Fire Department. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to the closed session portion of the City Council meeting at 7 p.m., followed by the regular City Council meeting at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, December 15, 2020. Just of note, there will not be a meeting on November the 24th. So at this time, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
There will not be a meeting on November the 24th. So at this time, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.